The wisdom of the forest on owning the grove, not just the trees. I want to discuss one of the most sensible and rational approaches available to the individual who wishes to participate in the long-term prosperity of global business. It is an approach that acknowledges a very simple yet humbling truth. You don't need to be an expert on every company or even any company to do remarkably well as an owner of enterprises over time. The goal for most people should not be to pick the few spectacular winners. The goal should be to own a broad, diversified share of the world's productive capacity, and to do so in a way that is extraordinarily efficient and simple to manage. Think of the global economy not as a gallery of individual masterpieces, where you must be the art critic identifying the next Rembrandt, but as a vast, productive forest. The forest as a whole grows over time. Some trees will become tall and mighty, others will become diseased and fall, and new saplings will constantly spring up to take their place. The relentless natural process of growth and renewal in that forest is what creates the long-term value. Now, you could try to be the clever forester. You could walk through the woods trying to identify which specific trees will grow the tallest and which are destined to fail. You would study the soil, the bark, the leaves. You would constantly be buying and selling your claims on individual trees. This is hard work. It requires immense skill, and even with all that effort, a sudden storm or a blight you didn't foresee could wipe out your carefully chosen selections. For the vast majority of people, there is a much simpler path. Instead of trying to pick the winning trees, you can simply own a small piece of the entire forest. You can buy the whole grove. By doing so, you are not betting on the fate of any single oak or maple. You are betting on the fundamental, enduring fertility of the soil and the relentless force of nature's growth. You will participate fully in the growth of the spectacular trees, and the loss of the ones that fail will be a small, manageable event, a mere rounding error in the grand scheme of your holdings. This approach is the ultimate expression of humility. It admits that predicting which specific company will thrive in a dynamic, competitive, and unpredictable world is an enormously difficult task, even for the professionals. New technologies emerge, consumer tastes shift, and world events unfold in ways no one can foresee. The company that seems invincible today may be dethroned a decade from now by an innovation no one saw coming. By owning a broad cross-section of businesses, you are essentially making a bet on human ingenuity and progress itself. You are saying, I do not know who the winners will be, but I am confident that there will be winners, and that the collective effort of thousands of companies competing to provide better goods and services will lead to overall growth. You are aligning your fortunes with the general upward trajectory of commerce and innovation, rather than the specific fate of a handful of corporations. This method also provides a tremendous psychological benefit. When you own a small piece of hundreds or even thousands of businesses, the daily news about any single one of them becomes irrelevant. You are liberated from the emotional roller coaster of watching your fortune rise and fall with the latest earnings report or the latest scandal from a single company. Your focus shifts from the frantic, noisy, day-to-day fluctuations of individual stock prices to the quiet, long-term accumulation of value across the entire economic landscape. This is a much calmer, more rational way to invest. Furthermore, this strategy is incredibly cost-effective. The constant buying and selling of individual stocks incurs fees, commissions, and taxes that act as a constant drag on your returns. It is like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. By making few transactions and holding a single, diversified portfolio, you minimize these costs. Every dollar saved on fees is a dollar that remains in your account, compounding for your benefit over the decades. In a world where returns are uncertain, controlling your costs is one of the few things you can be certain about. This is not to say that picking individual stocks cannot be done successfully. There are certainly people who have the talent, temperament, and time to do it. But it is a demanding, full-time job. It requires a rare combination of intellectual rigor and emotional discipline for the doctor, the teacher, the engineer, the farmer, for the person who has a profession they are dedicated to and cannot spend their days reading annual reports. This broad-based approach offers a brilliant solution. It allows them to be investors without it becoming their second job. In the end, this philosophy is about recognizing your own circle of competence. For most, that circle does not include deep expertise in the competitive dynamics of the semiconductor industry, the regulatory landscape for pharmaceuticals, and the consumer trends in retail, all at the same time. It is far better to admit this and choose a path that doesn't require such omniscience. The intelligent investor seeks to make the fewest decisions possible, not the most. They want to set a course that is sound, simple, and then have the discipline to stick with it through all the market's inevitable ups and downs. They understand that hyperactivity is often the enemy of investment returns. So, consider the wisdom of the forest. Consider the power of diversification. Consider the peace of mind that comes from knowing that your financial well-being is not tied to the fate of a few companies, but is spread across the vast productive engine of global industry. It is a strategy that is at once both profoundly simple and profoundly powerful. It is a way to ensure that you are an owner of businesses without the burden of having to be their full-time analyst. And in the long run, being a steady, committed owner is what this game is all about.